You're all very welcome this afternoon to this information session about the Intermediate Certificate in Classical Greek. And I'm delighted to welcome Claire LeBlanc who is the administrator of the qualification, and also Kerry's here. Kerry would be the person teaching the relevant modules. So I am going to share my screen for you, Claire.
Great, yeah, thank you. Brilliant. It's just a black screen at the moment for me.
How do I view this? Is that okay the way it is?
Oh, I can see it now, yeah. If you go to slideshow, then it can... Or can I even make it? No, I can't make it work.
Where is slideshow?
On mine, it's just up at the top right.
So it is.
Great, thank you. Really, massive apologies, everyone. Sorry, my camera's not working, my screen sharing's not working, everything's not working, but this is now going to work. So yeah, you're all here for the to hear a little bit more about the ICCG, which and we are supported by Classics for All and the Classical Association, as well as, well, you'll see lots of other kind of universities and things like that as well. So next slide, please, Helen. So, and as I said, Helen can share this. I'm not going to just read through all the sentences on here. There's quite a lot of information, so Helen can share it. But just, if you've looked at the website, you'll know it is a linguistic exam. I think that's key. A lot of people have sort of said, oh, you know, why is there no literature? Why is there no, you know, civilization or history? The answer to why there's no literature is very easy. It's because really, if you're only doing the amount of Greek, which is the textbook, we can talk about textbooks, other textbooks in a minute if anyone wants, but if you're only doing this amount of Greek, it's really hard to do any literature on this level of Greek Greek language. Why there's no civilization or history, that's something which we are maybe looking at for the future, maybe looking at doing a separate kind of civilization paper or something. But at the moment, it's, you know, starting small, baby steps. The idea is very much to have a linguistic exam. And as I said, yeah, we are using John Taylor's Greek's GCSE Book 1 because that is the main book most Greek teachers use. But other textbooks are available. And as I said, if anyone does want to talk about other textbooks, please do. The grammar and vocabulary, which is on our website, we have got the specification, and we have got a defined grammar list, syntax, accidents, and a vocabulary list. It is basically the same as what is in the textbook. I think there's something like 15 extra words on the vocabulary list to make it up to a nice round number of, I think it's 250 words. Mainly they are actually proper nouns as well. So there's nothing sort of too difficult extra, but there's a couple of extra words on the vocab list, but otherwise grammar and vocab, it's everything. So if you do John Taylor Greek's GCSE Book 1, you have covered everything that you need. And as I said, full details are on the website. Next slide, please, Helen. Actually, I should have said, if anyone has any questions, like, feel free to put them in the chat and then we could go through them afterwards, or equally just ask when I get to the end of this. So as I said, we set this up, there's a group of us set this up a few years ago, mainly because there are so many so many schools in England, to be honest. The main focus is schools in England, or in the UK, I should say, not England. But we love the fact that there's quite a few independent learners. And actually this year we did have 5 independent learners, 2 of which came through Helen's lessons. But the main thing was there are so many schools in the UK that just do not have the time to teach Greek even up to GCSE. They're doing Greek as a lunchtime club or an after-school club, or they're doing Greek alongside Latin, or there's various things, or they're trying to fit it into 1 year. And so there's a real we felt there was a real need for schools that want to do some Greek to be able to have some sort of qualification to offer the pupils at the end of doing some Greek. So that's why it was set up. And we are supported by the Classical Association and Classics for All, and lots of UK universities. We're still working on a few of them, getting in touch, are also supporting it. which basically just means that they are recognizing it, is really what it is. So if somebody, it's irrelevant for adult learners, I guess, but if somebody were to apply to university, then the universities would know what this is and would know it's a sort of proper qualification. Next slide, Helen. Again, probably irrelevant for you guys, but it is recognised on UCAS. It doesn't carry UCAS points, but it is recognised on UCAS. If anyone wants to ask about that, do, but I'm thinking it's probably irrelevant for most of you, so we'll move on from that. Again, if you're interested in who the people are, again, if any of you are UK based, you may know some of these people. But yeah, and I say we've got representatives from various different universities and schools, and you know, yeah, the CA and the CFA as well. Next slide. Again, ask questions on any of this if you want at the end. Okay, so we did a pilot the year before last. It started with a pilot. We had 15 schools take part. And basically, you know, we worked with the schools in the run up to the exam to see what, you know, what they would like in the exam. And they did the exam. And then, yeah, luckily it was all very positive feedback. So that was good. So that was the academic year before last. Next slide, please. If you're interested in the schools, those are the schools. We can probably move on. Again, probably not that relevant to the to independent learners here. So the exam. It is a formal exam. It is formally set, formally invigilated exam conditions. It's not coursework. It's not do it at home with open book or anything like that. It is a formal exam. It is formally marked, formally moderated. Talk a bit more about that in a minute. I don't know who's here. I don't know if any of you do know anything about the WJEC Latin certificate. If you do, then we are sort of basing the Greek certificate on that. And it's also what we call the Olympiad style. Again, some of you might know what that means. So what it means is we don't have a set, you know, you have to do the exam on the 10th of June at 9 a.m. We have it where we are sending it to schools or independent learners or whoever and giving them a set period during which they have to take it, but it can be taken at any time within that period. The idea behind that is to just try and make it as easy as possible for as many people as possible to do it, whether it's an adult independent learner, whether it's a child independent learner, whether it's a school with lots of different year groups doing it as an after school club or whatever. So the idea is to try and make it as easy as possible. So there's a set time. And I guess if some of you do live abroad, this is probably quite helpful because it means that you don't need to worry about time differences and all of that kind of stuff. As I said, has to be exam conditions. And we decided not to do like A stars or 1s or 2s or whatever, but we just do pass, merit and distinction. The idea is that we would like everyone to pass. Not everyone does pass, but most people do pass. And yeah, 90% is kind of, you know, hopefully like, yeah, the sort of the top bit for people who get the distinction. Next slide, please. So for the pilot, we gave everyone a week. I mean, that's just the basic information. Results then came out in August. Certificates then came out in September. Yeah, next slide, please. That's boring. Because then this, I think, is what happened last year. Yeah, so then this year, as in, well, the June just gone, was our first proper exam where anyone could enter. And so we have exam, and the plan is to basically do pretty much the same thing for this year's exam as well. So for June 2024, it will be following this pattern. We have just done a survey of all the schools and all the learners that did enter the exam last year. And if there is anything important that's come out, I have to admit we haven't quite finished looking at it yet, then we may make some changes, but we're not envisaging anything major or many changes. So yeah, so exam entries, if you want to enter, that's done in January or February, sort of late Jan, early Feb. We send out all the information. We have a mailing list. We also try and put stuff on social media. Helen, I'm sure if you're doing, or Kerry, I'm sure actually, if you're doing Kerry's lessons, Kerry will be able to send out information about how to register and that kind of stuff. But so that's done in sort of late January, done via our website. We then asked for confirmation in March. The exam is, yeah, last year's exam was between the 5th and the 17th of June. It's going to be at a similar time this year to be confirmed, but it'll be a similar time. £15 entry fee. I should say we make no profit at all. Like we're not, yeah, we're definitely, we all have day jobs. You know, most of us are school teachers or university academics as well as doing this. So it's definitely like we're not making any kind of profit. State, probably irrelevant for you guys, but state school entries are being paid for by Classics for All. But I'm guessing that's irrelevant for you guys. If anyone can't pay the £15, we do plan to have some sort of bursaries to cover costs. So do contact us if there's a reason why you wouldn't be able to afford to pay as well. Next slide, please. Oh, was that two? Is that two or was that just one? Sorry. Oh yeah, there we go. So if you're interested, last year we had 441 sitting the exam, which we are so pleased with, considering that was the, you know, the first year of actually open entries. That's not, I think there's definitely a market for this type of level of exam. And actually it should be 5 adults. We got a last minute adult, I should say. So yeah, five independent adult learners, 2 of which came through Helen's classes, as I said. Mainly in England, but yeah, we did have 1 in Australia. We had a school in Spain, so we have already had some international candidates take it as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so exam results, if you're interested. So the way it's marked is, yeah, the papers come back to us. This year we had 4 markers, so we all marked about 110 papers each. We then had 2 external moderators who marked a sample of everyone's papers. We then had an awards meeting at the beginning of August where we set the grade boundaries. And then we remarked all papers that were 1, 2, or 3 marks below the grade boundaries. So we're just trying to make it as fair as possible, make sure that there's, basically we're trying to make as many people as possible do as well as possible is the idea. That said, we don't then do remarks, we don't send papers back. Although I have to say nobody, I think 1 person has asked for that this year out of 441. So I think most people seem to be happy with that. So there you go, as you can see, 10% didn't pass this year. And really, yeah, the pass mark was 47%. And yeah, there were the people getting below that, you know, there were people getting like 10, 20%, which is where there's just no way we could say that they were passing. It would sort of make a mockery of the exam. But yeah, the vast majority, 90% of people did pass. And a lot of people get distinctions, and we're happy with that. You know, we want distinctions to be 90%. We want distinctions to be the very top, but we're happy with lots of people getting distinctions if they deserve them as well. Next slide, please. So yeah, 2024 and beyond, if you guys are interested in doing this, so yeah, the first thing would be obviously via Helen and via Kerry. They can get information out to you about this as well. But you could also join our mailing list directly. As I said, the way to do that is just to email the email address and we add you to our mailing list. We've had lots more interest for this year, so we're expecting numbers to go up, both from schools and from independent learners. And yeah, we've had lots of interest from lots of different countries this year already as well. As I said, we have done a survey. There may be a few changes, but we don't think there's going to be anything major being changed. But we will obviously let people know straight away if there is. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the tricky one, I think, for most of you guys. I would imagine is that, you know, we really welcome independent candidates, but we are not an exam centre. And I think we have to make that really clear. Like we are a group of people scattered around the UK. You know, we don't run exams. And we do need the exam to be taken in a location where we know that it is going to be done in exam conditions. We can't just like send you the exam paper and trust you to do it, even though I'm sure we could, but it would just make a bit of a mockery of the system. And we need to keep the integrity of the exam. So in an ideal world, you would be able to find a school or a university or a college or something like that where you could do the exam. Certainly in the UK, you can do exams in schools as a private candidate, and you have to pay a fee usually, but it's usually relatively easy to find a school that will take you as a private candidate. And we are very happy if we can put people in touch with possible locations. We will do our very best. So again, very much if you're in the UK, we're quite likely to be able to help. Depending on where you are abroad, we may be able to help, because we do have people on our mailing list in lots of different countries, as I said. But yeah, so, and you know, some people, I know this year we did have some people who said, oh, actually, you know, I'll just do it at my daughter's school or something like that, or I'll do it at you know, I think someone did it at a local university, and they just managed to find a kindly university academic who was willing to support them. So so we will help as much as we can to put you in touch with relevant people, but we cannot guarantee to provide an exam centre. So I know that might be the sticking point for some of you guys. But that's really where we are with that, and there's not much we can do with that. The good thing about it, though, as I said, is that because we have this 2-week window, it does mean it's as flexible as possible. So if you are trying to talk to your child's school, or trying to talk to your local university, or whatever it is, you know, for you to be able to say, can I come in at any point during this 2 weeks? Obviously, depending on what you're doing as your day job as well. Yeah, hopefully we'll make it easier to find someone that's willing to do that. And then we would, obviously, whoever is your nominated invigilator, we would send them the exam. They would invigilate it for you, exam conditions, and then they would then send it back to us, and it would just be, you know, put into the marking pile along with everything else. If you have extra time or any other kind of exam access arrangements, of course, you are absolutely, they all apply, just like with any other exam. And, you know, we make sure your invigilator knows that. Depending on where you are, it might be the exam's posted, or it might be the exam is scanned and emailed. Again, that's sort of up to kind of mutual discretion, depending on where you are, how many people it is, who it is invigilating it, and all of that kind of thing. Next slide, I think, or is there? Yeah, we're nearly at the end, and then we can do questions. So yeah, I said most of you have probably gone on the website. I'm very happy to, I was about to say show, but I can't show you anything at the moment. Get Helen to show you things in a minute. So yeah, but on the website there are, there is, as I said, there's the specification, the vocab list, there's resources. There's also there's the original specimen paper and mark scheme. There's the pilot 2022 paper and mark scheme, and any day now the 2023 paper and mark scheme and examiner's report, I should say, will be uploaded to the website. We're just in the process of finalising the examiner's report, and then that will be on the website. The most recent paper is always going to be password protected. Again, this is mainly for schools, so that school teachers can ask for the password and give it to their pupils as a kind of proper mock exam. Again, for independent learners, I don't know what Kerry and Helen think about this, but when independent learners have asked for the password, we have given it to them. But if Kerry and Helen want us not to give it to them, we could refuse. It's up to you guys. But you can email us to get the password for the most recent paper. But yeah, if you haven't looked at the website yet, there's just loads and loads of, well, hopefully you'd agree there's loads of information, as well as some like useful links and resources and that kind of stuff. And I should say we are also in the process of making more resources. People do keep saying, can you do this? Can you do that? And the answer is yes, but again, it's trying to fit it in with all of our day jobs as well. But we are actually hoping to actually have somebody employed to do a few extra resources over the next few months as well. So there should be some more resources going onto the website soon too. Next slide, please, Helen. I'm thinking, is anyone here a teacher? If not, it's probably irrelevant, so move on. If you are, you can look at this yourself. And again, probably, yeah, actually the resources at the bottom, there's some there. But again, if anyone is a teacher, you can ask me about that later as well. But yeah, moving on, and then I think this is the end. There you go, there's the mailing list. And we also have Facebook and Twitter, which we should do, or whatever Twitter's called now, isn't it, X, which we should do more often. We need to get back into it, I have to admit. But yeah, that's basically it. So that is your whistle stop tour. Sorry, it wasn't done very professionally. No camera, me not sharing my screen. I do apologise. That's your kind of whistle stop tour of everything. We can take some questions. I saw there was a couple in the chat, so I'll go straight to them. And then, yeah, I'm very happy for Helen to show you things as well, or then we can do questions in the room and see. So yeah, where the exams held, yeah, so basically, yeah, the questions about where things yeah, could be held. Same sort of question. Yeah, we did have somebody last year, Kerry, absolutely. We had someone last year ask about sitting it in a local library, and yeah, that depending on, you know, where it is, like what the setup would be, that could well be okay. We would happily consider a local library as well. Yeah, happily consider that, definitely. So yeah.
Would you look at each circumstance of an independent student in turn? You know, if maybe we had half a dozen students and one wanted to try a library and another one was able to sit it in a school, would you look at each of those and tell us, yes, that's okay?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is just, it's a difficult one, because if you're one independent student on, you know, on your own in Australia, as we had last year, we had one of Helen's students was in Australia, and it's, you know, it's, you know, in a way, you know, who cares how he does the exam? In a way, it's kind of not going to make a massive difference overall. But you know, but we need to try and maintain the, you know, the integrity of the exam, and and so yeah, so actually, yeah, we definitely would look at, you know, I said ideally someone would be able to come and say, yeah, my local school or my local university will do this, in which case that's fantastic. We will just then be asked to be put in touch with the teacher or the academic or whoever it is, and then that's, you know, that, as far as we're concerned, is hopefully, I mean, to be honest, anyone could cheat, couldn't they? You know, of course you could. But yeah, but otherwise, if that's impossible, we would be happy to consider other things too. And yeah, we would definitely look at kind of individual circumstances. You know, not who you are. That sounds quite rude. We wouldn't like figure out who you are, but you know, where you are, what, you know, why, you know, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so a few friendly academics, some far friendlier than others. Yeah, no, basically, no, they don't need to be classicists. In our experience, generally, classicists have been happy to do this because they understand what it is, and they, you know, they've got behind it. And you know, so we did have an independent candidate who sat hers at a university, and a classics academic did it because they were like, this is great, yeah, really happy to do this. But absolutely, like, whatever, a mathematician at a university, if they're happy to spend an hour and a half in a room with you invigilating it, then that's great too. Yeah, we just need a third party that we can sort of trust, well, that we can, if anyone were to say, how do you know this was done fairly, we would like to be able to, you know, give as much information as possible to say how it was done fairly. So yeah, any friendly academic or teacher would be great. Yeah.
It's like finding the right person to sign your passport photograph, if you even still do that. You know, someone of certain standing in the community.
Absolutely.
That's great. Are there any other questions? Any other questions at all? I mean, I really I think you've answered everything that I wanted to ask, which was really just about the logistics. What do, you know, we've finished, for example, if a student has finished book one of Greek to GCSE, want to sit the exam, what do they do? But I think you've covered that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think probably for your students like Helen, Kerry, I think it's, you know, as I said, you guys as students, you are very welcome, as I said, to join the mailing list directly. You know, if you're interested in doing this, I promise you don't get spammed. We do not send loads of emails out. We only send out relevant emails, I promise you. So I'd probably say it's worth joining our mailing list anyway. But equally, yeah, you know, we can make sure Helen is already on our mailing list. I think Kerry, I can add, probably sensible to add you on, Kerry, and then I think we can make sure you guys get the information too. So if any of the students here want to do it, hopefully between the mailing list, between Helen, between Kerry, yeah, we can make it work. But yeah, it is basically a case of registering in January. taking the exam in June. And then, yeah, results come out in August. Certificates are coming out any day now as well. Certificates are coming out. So you do get an actual real certificate if you want one. You don't have to have it, but if you want one, you get a paper certificate. But yeah, any other questions? I said, like, yeah, feel free, have a look at the website. And if you have any other questions, you're very welcome to email that email address directly. And it's usually me that answers. And yeah, I usually try and answer within a couple of days. So yeah. And hopefully, yeah, maybe I'll see some of you on a Zoom where actually my camera works at some point too. So
I'm just making a list of who's here.
Yeah, and Helen, do share that now you've got the slides. If you share that with everyone that's here, then they can look at it themselves in their free time as well.
I will.
Yeah.
So I'm just checking that I know exactly who's here. Brian, would you text me, or would you put in the chat your surname, because you're the only one I'm not sure who you are. That's all. Okay, is there anything else? Oh, yes, excellent, Brian, thank you. Of course, I know who you are. Anything else that anyone would like to ask Claire about? As she said, I will send her slides. I think I've already told everybody the website. There's on the website, you can see the specification and the previous assessment materials. So if anyone has any questions afterwards, do come back to me and I can liaise with Claire. Okay.
Great.
Are we all happy enough then?
Great. Well, thank you all for giving up your, well, whether it's Sunday afternoon or Monday morning or Sunday morning or whatever it is, depending where you are. Thank you all for, yeah, giving up your time to come and listen. And yeah, hope it'd be lovely to see lots of your names on the exam list in the summer. And yeah, but yeah, get in touch if you have any questions at any point. And thank you, Helen, for arranging this. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and especially to Claire for coming along and telling us all about it. Really appreciate it, Claire.
Great, fan. Yeah, apologies again for my technical issues, but yeah.
Okay.
Bye,
thanks,
everybody.
Thanks very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.